Alright, what's going on YouTube? We're back again with another deck profile here for you guys on the channel. Today we have Cosmos for the modern format. I do not yet have a build for the Genesis format. If you guys would like to see a deck profile for Genesis format for Cosmo, please let me know in the comment section below. Uh, yeah, let's hop into it. This is pretty much a as you can see, I have very few monsters with the extra deck. I don't really utilize extra deck too much. A lot of my core my core combos come from the main deck, and yeah, let's hop into it. So first up, I do have the three Dark Planet. I mean, it's at three. Might as well utilize it to the maximum, especially because modern format currently is a spell heavy format. There are some decks that do run a decent amount of traps, but I do have an out to that as well. But it's not really as prominent as the spell portion of most decks. So this is your main spell negation. You just banish one Cosmo monster from your graveyard. Anytime your opponent activates a spell card or a spell effect, and you negate it and you destroy it, pretty much. Alright, so next up would be your monster destruction of the deck, destroyer. Not even just monsters, I believe it's just one card, right? Oh no, you target one monster. Okay, so this is your monster pop of the deck. Self-explanatory, nothing really to explain there. If you don't know, his other effect, you pretty much, when he dies, you float down into a level 7 Cosmo monster to your field. Same thing with the not Eclipser, I'm sorry, Destroyer. Uh, Dark Planet. Dark Planet, when it floats down, it doesn't float to your field. As it floats to your hand, you add a level 9 Cosmo monster from your deck to your hand. And speaking of the level 9, which is your Dark Eclipser, your Trap Negator of the deck. Uh, I prefer to run this at 1. I do see a lot of people run at 2. 2 is comfortable as well, depending on trap count, and basically depends on the format of how trap heavy the format is. If the format is not very trap heavy, you just run it at 1 just in case you do run into traps. Uh, but if it's more trap heavy, then I do recommend you run it at least bare minimum at 2. But next up, I do run the triple Forerunner. Um, I do see a lot of people run this at 2. I prefer 3. I love gaining 1,000 life points every single one of my standby phases. More copies I have on my field, the better. I would just love to be able to gain like 3,000 life points every standby phase. And my opponent's just trying to, like, because it can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Uh, well, I'm sorry. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. Your opponent can't target us with card effects. It can be destroyed, but usually, a lot of times, a lot of the common effects you have to target first to pop and all that stuff. So at least it can't be targeted by card effects. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for your opponent to get around. It is a 2800. I kind of wish it was just a base 3000 or maybe a little bit higher. I kind of feel like it deserves a little bit of higher attack, maybe like 35 or something like that. That'd actually be kind of cool. Or 32, whatever you guys prefer. But yeah, I just love being able to gain like between 1 to 3,000 life points every standby phase. It's just funny. Of course, your protector of the deck, Landwalker. If you have Landwalker on the field and your opponent activates a card like Dark Hole, that will literally pop every other card like every card on the field. Usually, a lot of times you use this in tandem with Cosmo Town because you can basically pop one other card on the field to protect every other Cosmo monster on the field. If you want to go that route, usually a lot of times people don't prefer to they rather not destroy a monster if they can avoid it. So you could just pop one other Cosmo card on your field, and then when Cosmo Town is destroyed, it allows you to add a Cosmo card from your deck to your hand. So I just run at least at 1 just in case that situation ever comes up. Uh, yep, two slip rider, your back row, MST card of the deck. Um, yet again, I run this at 2. I run the Eclipser at 1, just for the simple fact that if I have Eclipser on the field, I summon this out. I go to MST, your back row, and it's a trap, and you try to activate the trap, and I have resources in the graveyard for Dark Eclipser, which how you negate is the same way as you would negate for Dark Planet, which you would banish a Kozmo monster from your graveyard to out of play, and then pretty much negate the activation if you do destroy it. So basically this is like you being forcing like you're forcing your opponent to like activate certain things, or even if it's not the actual card that you're targeting, it may force your opponent to activate either the card next to it, or a activate a already occurring face-up trap card effect, which you can still negate that with Eclipser and destroy it. This kind of just basically forces your opponent to make certain plays that they don't really want to make or need to make like right there and then. But yeah, next up is your pilot slash. This is a pilot slash ship. Um, it's your level 5, one of the lowest ships you have in the deck, along with Slip Rider. This is a pilot, but it's also a ship as well, because you can banish itself for a level 6 or higher Cosmo monster. You could basically summon it from your hand. Um, but yeah, this is your effect negation for like monster effects. Um, just make sure. Yep, for monster effect negation. So you pay 1,000, and if you have multiple copies on the field, you can activate. I believe you can activate their effects. The negation effect at least. The banish effect for Dark Lady is only once per turn, but the negation effect, if you have more than one copy, you can actually activate both of the negation effect within the same turn. Because when you read the text, it can like kind of get like a little bit confusing. But the only portion of it that says its name and once per turn is the banish effect for to summon a level 6 or higher. So that's only once per turn. But if you do control 2 copies of Dark Lady on your field at the same time, you can use the second effect, which is not a once per turn, a hard once per turn, and you can pay 1,000 to negate a monster effect more than once. Of course, as long as you have a second copy as well, and yeah, it's not. It is once per turn, but it's not hard once per turn. So if you have multiple copies, you can just pretty much use it more than one time. All right, so your first actual core pilot, core not yeah core pilot of the deck is your farm girl. To my knowledge, I believe she's still at 3. I mean, I did look at the ban list. I didn't see her like hit at all. So I mean, to my knowledge, she is still at 3. Um, there is a another pilot in this deck that makes her a little bit more viable. Um, Especially if you have more than one copy of her in your hand. Um, Potentially you could hit your opponent for 3,000 even if they had monsters on their field, and you could just get a double search because her effect is a non hard once per turn as long as you have a multiple copies. But yeah, this is just your Cosmo card searcher if you need certain Cosmo cards in your hand. You're a little bit of a stall pilot of the deck. You're with a Wicked Witch, Cosmo Wicked Witch. Yeah, I know I have freaking 2 different areas. I did have the other secret. I just don't remember what I did with it, unfortunately. Uh, yeah, pay 1,000. I usually like to put in defense, pay 1,000. I can't be destroyed by battle or by card effect. Um, as long as you pay 1,000, which is kind of cool. Helps stall if you need to stall for whatever reason. The one good witch, it's kind of like your Book of Moon of the deck. You know, you pay 5, you target one monster, you can Book of Moon it. But of course, with the current format, it's not very highly used. I just mainly just have it in here just for another name. Um, And yeah, usually a lot of times it's kind of hard to freaking use this against links because links, the ruling for links is that they basically can't be set face down. So makes it kind of hard to even use cards like that. So I mean, run at least a one just for the name. Of course, your main searcher of the deck, yet again, usually people used to run this at three. Um, but because of certain cards that have actually come back off the ban list, it's not really needed to run it at three. So two is pretty much the sweet spot. This is your deck thinning card, your searcher, your second searcher of the deck. Pretty much, yeah. The one and the last pilot of the deck is a generic pilot. Your triple psychic processor. Basically, what this does is you pop it on the field, you banish it out of play. You can special summon from your hand either two psychic monsters or two machine or one of each from your hand to the field. And when you do, they gain the ability to be able to attack your opponent directly, regardless if your opponent controls monsters or not. And on top of that, when this card is banished, the very next standby phase, the next turn standby phase after this card was basically banished, you can recur this back to your hand. So usually a lot of times it would go banish, summon, do whatever I do for my turn. I let my opponent go. My opponent, draw phase, standby. This comes back to my hand. So I mean, the reason why I'm even running it at three is just for consistency. Um, but I also do have other stuff that can basically get this pilot from my deck to my field very quickly, and that's if I don't have like that's only if I already have like Farm Girl in my hand. Then I'll use Psychic Teleport on this. If not, then the other main search would be Psychic Teleport for the processor. And the last kind of like searcher slash like support for the deck is two of the three-eyed ghost, and the only reason why I'm even running this is for the simple fact that it can be discarded from your hand to add a level 10 dark monster from your deck to your hand. Uh, Thus, Dark Planet. So with Dark Planet, how it's summoned is you banish Kozmo monsters in your hand to either equal its level or exceed its level, which is fine. And then you can basically summon out Dark Planet that way. Or if you already have a copy of Dark Planet in your hand, along with this is your basically your guaranteed second Dark Planet. You drop this out of your hand, and then this is also a kind of like fodder for uh, another particular card that I run, but I'll get into that in a moment. But this would be your second Dark Planet. You can just banish Dark Planet to summon itself, which is pretty cool. So I run that at least at two. I'm going to put this to the side because I'm going to explain why else I have this in here as well. I'll just place it right here like that. I do run two Lord of the Missing Barrows. This is not the card I was thinking of. I was talking about. But this is a good generic like chaos monster you can pretty much throw pretty much in any deck. I find funny that it's a common. Basically, how you summon it is you banish one monster, one spell, one trap card from your graveyard. You pop this on the field, and then when it's special summoned from my hand, I can banish one monster, two spells or two traps from my opponent's field or graveyard. So, which is pretty phenomenal. It's kind of like a little bit removal. It's non-target, so which is pretty cool. And of course, its effect is a hard once per turn, so you can't really get around that. But the last non-Cosmo monster of the deck is going to be triple Dark Arm Dragon. Guys, this is a good time to have Dark Arm. And this is literally the reason why. Is like, even if I draw into, like, say if I drew two of these. Okay, I drew two of these. It's like, okay, great. Then I could just go I could just no, I'm sorry, just a hard one for turn as well. So that wouldn't work. But if I have if I discard this for, like I said, Dark Planet, um, it becomes a extra dark in the graveyard for a target for Dark Arm, and then if I use Wind Can to search um, other cards from my deck to my hand, two of those searches, because you can only pick one off Wind Can, uh, two of those searches go to the graveyard. So if I have this in my hand and then I search, with Wind Can, and I at least get two more darks in the grave, I will have plenty of targets for Dark Arm, and then of course I'll have some targets for the either Eclipser or Dark Planet for spell and trap card negation. And then this is your pretty much an extra monster pop, but it requires you to have darks in the grave. So if you don't have access to what you call it, dark destroyer, or if, like, say for example, you're working with a budget and you don't have um, three destroyers, you could throw like two of these in here in the deck to pretty much help with monster pop, But I just figured it'd be cool to have as a generic, uh, dark focus monster. The focuses on having dark monsters in your graveyard. So I figured I'd utilize that aspect of the deck. If you guys, you know, think that that's great, then maybe you can use that for yourselves. But next up is the spells of the deck. I do run three Cosmo Town. I mean, self-explanatory. Nothing really to explain there. I mean, the only thing I will explain about it is if anybody is unfamiliar with Cosmo cards in general. I mean, you've dueled against Cosmos, but you don't really use them. And of course, it's one of those things where, like, it's different when you use a deck versus facing a deck. You don't have every single card and combo piece like memorized like you would if you're using the deck. If you aren't familiar with what Cosmo Town does, you can either you can either reshuffle your hand into your deck to redraw the same amount of Cosmo monsters you put back in the deck. So if you have like dead cards like you don't have like any pilots to use, and you have a bunch of chips, that's the time to to have, if you have Cosmo Town in your hand. That is, at that point, you can use Cosmo Town, reshuffle however many you want back into the deck, and then you draw the same amount. And then its second effect is that if you have any Cosmo monsters in your out of play, you can select one, return it to your hand, and then you take damage to your life points equal to its star level times 100. So it's actually, a pretty very useful card. And also, if this card is ever destroyed as well while it's in your spell and trap card zone, you can search uh, any card that has Cosmo in its name, or that mentions Cosmo. You can literally just search that and add it from your deck to your hand, which is pretty phenomenal. Next up, like I said before, I do run Psychic Teleport. Um, I'm currently just running it at two. Three of this wicked can be slightly bricky. For some effect, I do run the Psychic Processor. If this is just so that in case I don't draw Psychic Processor right away, um, I can pretty much just use this if I have it in my hand, get my Psychic Processor out, banish, get my two Psychic Monsters, my Farm Girls out, or one Farm Girl and maybe like a Destroyer. If I see a problem monster on the field, I just need to get rid of it immediately. Yeah, pretty much. Uh, Yet again, for the utilization of the Psychic Processor, if I don't want to wait an extra turn, I can pretty much just replenish the processor by banishing this once it's in my graveyard to put the processor back onto the bottom of my deck. Or any psychic or machine type monster that I feel that is useful, you can put them back to the bottom of your deck once it's in your graveyard. You can like by banishing this card. But the main use for this card is you would just activate it, target one psychic monster I control, and then I pay life points equal to its level times 200, and then I can add one machine type monster with the same attribute from my deck to my hand, but a higher level. So if I don't have, this is another way you can get Dark Planet to your hand as well. Um, as long as the psychic monster you're selecting is the same attribute. If not, then you're just gonna have to try to figure out how to get what you need to your hand another way. But like I said, there are plenty of resources in here that will allow me to be able to do that. Uh, Pretty much to even the playing field because I don't utilize extra deck that much. I am packing the double spellbound. Um, its name is kind of like a I don't want to say oxymoron, but it's kind of like hypocritical in a way or redundant because it's like, all right, I activate this, and you think I spellbound, or I can't activate like maybe like fusion spells or something, or I can't do something spell related. But the only thing is you can't. My opponent can't fusion, synchro, or exceed or link monsters until the end of the turn that the guard was activated. So this kind of helps you even the playing field if you want to run Cosmos but you don't want to run too much of a extra deck. You kind of want to maybe go like the maybe the anti meta route. If you're trying to go that route, it's a very good card to use. Next up, I do run the like I said before. This is for the modern format, not Genesis, because Genesis is cost like I think it might be like 33 or maybe like 5 points each, or something like that. For the Allure of Darkness, two of the DDR discard. Yet again, though, too, this is great for combos if you're trying to fill your grave up with uh, dark targets, either for your planet, your Eclipser, or your Dark Arm. This can make or break you being able to get Dark Arm to your field. So a lot of times, usually what I do is I activate this. I'll drop a Cosmo monster out of my hand, bring back Destroyer, so I can pop a card. If for any reason why that effect would be negated and he would be destroyed, that'll allow me to float down to level 7. And then plus on top of that, if that other Cosmo monster was the third monster that I would need for Dark Arm, that'll allow me to be able to summon out Dark Arm from my hand as well. Uh, for banishing, self-explanatory, soul absorption. Every time I banish, I gain 500. It's not once per turn. It's a continuous, reoccurring effect. So it's good to have at least more than one copy on the field at a time. Like I said before, I do enjoy gaining life points uh, and watching my opponent struggle to dwindle down my life points, which is it's hilarious. Especially if it's a deck where you can't outsmart them, right? You can't outsmart them with combos or like you you might have pretty much stuff that's like in there in your opponent's deck that basically either prevents you from like battling or destroying your monsters by any means. This is where it's like, okay, well, if I can't destroy you like or like win by or attacking you or dwindling down your life points, I'm just going to gain life points. I'm just going to do certain combos and certain things to where um, because with Cosmo monsters, it doesn't matter your opponent's turn or your turn. You could just banish them just because you feel like it, and just because you want to swap out for a different monster. And when I say banish them, I'm talking about the pilots specifically. But yeah, I mean, if for some reason like you can't like get over certain monsters or whatever, this is a very good like troll card to have in the deck, along with the Forerunner, because Forerunner you gain 1,000 every single standby phase. Well, your standby phase. But this is great to have in there because it's just like, all right, well, if I can't beat you the old fashioned way, I'm gonna do it the roundabout way because a lot of times when you're in a tournament, especially the major tournaments, the duels are timed, and usually by the time the time runs out, whoever has higher life points wins the duel. Now, granted, that may be a little bit of a cheesy way to win, but a win's a win. If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? That's all I'm saying about that. Last but not least, limit removal. Now, like I said, if you can't attack over for whatever reason, you do have your soul absorption. Just do certain plays to kind of just like maybe fill your field up. You gain a bunch of white points, and you could kind of stall your opponent in a way. Um, this could be good for like if you're playing your opponent's monster can't be destroyed by battle or by card effect for whatever reason, they just can't be destroyed. And your opponent tries to attack over your Cosmo monster, especially the ones that are machine. You could just okay, no, there you go. Like you know what I mean, and they'll at least take damage if possible. Well, I know there's a lot of cards out there that say when the card battle don't take damage, but last but not least, last spell is the Moon Mirror Shield. Pretty much for the farm girl. Uh, yeah, sure nothing to really explain with that. It's kind of just self-explanatory type stuff. Traps. I do run 2 Cosmo Joe. Get rid of those problem cards. This is a non-target banishment. Banish from field or your opponent's graveyard. It is our own personal version of the either I can't think of the dang on name right now. It's not No Man Cross Up, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The spell that you could just banish shit from your opponent's graveyard. But this is a trap version of that for Cosmos specifically. You pop one of your own Cosmos so that it can get its floater effect. Usually you mainly use this on your ships, not your pilots. And yeah, you can just banish a problem card that can't be targeted because it's a non-target banish, which is great. Some people might want to run this at 3. 2 is a sweet spot for me. And of course, and again, extra support when it comes to spell and traps, negation, or prevention. I do have the Eradicator in there. And I do run a lot of dark monsters that are 2,500 attack or more in the deck. So if need be, push comes to shove, you're doing stuff and I don't want you to do. You're acting a lot of spells or a lot of traps. It like basically helps you plus your field. I'm just gonna say no to that. So, you know. And last trap of the main deck is the Solemn Judgment. I wish Solemn Strike. Uh, Basically, more anti-meta. You know, especially for extra deck. We don't want that. But yeah. So last portion of this video would be the extra deck. Short and sweet, straight to the point. 2 Genius. It's your generic link. Like I said before, guys, I don't really try to utilize extra deck that much. But if I am going to utilize extra deck, I'm going to utilize the cards that are most beneficial in this current format, which are links. So I just figured I'd have a generic machine link in here that also lets me search a level 5 or higher machine from my deck to my hand. So if I have issues with the other cards, getting my plan to the field or plan to my hand for whatever reason, I do have backup options outside of the main deck that also helps me get into my combos. And yeah, so I mean, there's that. And then, of course, the last but not least, if I have a bricky hand for whatever reason, 2 Skull Dread, draw however many I'm using, put certain ones back. It helps just in case I can't gain access to my Cosmo town for whatever reason. I still have a backup option to use outside of the main deck. So it's just mainly just stuff to help me utilize certain cards within the main deck itself, not to really overpower my opponent. It's just so that I can help myself plus with the main deck itself. So that's why I have very limited extra deck. This is not a extra deck focus build, so I just limit on how many extra deck monsters I'm using. But with that said, guys, if you guys did find this deck profile informative and you're interested in running Cosmos, I'd be very honored if you use this build, or if you just take anything away from this build to help you make a build. If you guys did find it informative, please leave a like on this video. Consider subscribing to the channel if you guys are new. And if you guys have not yet subscribed and you are a recurring viewer on this channel, please do so now. And to both, either or, new or returning, please consider activating the notification bell so you can get notified every single time I upload a video for you guys on the channel. But with that said, guys, I'm going to be signing off here for you guys today. And yeah, peace.